feel unqualified to be an elder as outlined by St. Paul. Now you're more concerned. Okay, so I'm just going to stop you right there. Yeah, you're not an elder as outlined by St. Paul. You're not going to be until you submit yourself to ordination and the preaching office, which you're not going to do, right? So those rules do not apply to you. Just step back, listen to what I said. I'm going to say it again. Anything Paul says in the New Testament about an elder does not apply to you unless you're a pastor, because that's what he's talking about. He's talking about pastors. He's talking about preachers. He's talking about those who are called and sent to teach the scriptures. What we call elders in Lutheran Church Missouri Synod Congregation sadly uses that word in a confusing and almost hard to understand historical finagling, where it dropped into our history from Calvinism without us realizing it, and sadly we adopted the word. It's not that the practice is necessarily bad, but the word itself doesn't really do what it's supposed to do, right? So really, what is the board of elders at the congregation? They are the laymen, ideally, who are concerned with making sure the pastor stays healthy. That's what they're there for. They're there to make sure the pastor doesn't die and no one knows it's coming, or the pastor doesn't go bankrupt and nobody knows it's coming, or the pastor doesn't get sick, or the pastor doesn't go crazy, or the pastor doesn't feel alone, right? They're there to buttress and guard the pastor as an asset of the congregation. It's a pretty valuable thing. But that is not what the biblical elder is. The biblical elder is the pastor, the preacher. And we got different words: deacon, overseer. There's another one I'm losing there along with it. Minister, right? So servant, all that stuff. Preacher as well, of course. Father gets in there once. Priest is in there once. So that role, that singular office, is what Paul is giving requirements for. And we should just start holding pastors accountable to that rather than a bunch of laity who are not trying to do that task. Now, if you want to look at that list and say that list is something to aspire to as a Christian male, well, that's true. It is that. It is that. And so, by all means, hold yourself accountable to wanting to be that person, but you don't have the right to keep yourself out of any offices in the church according to that list, except for the office of pastor itself. Directly and specifically. You can pull from it. You can see this is a valuable description, but that is not the office. So it's just not even a question. Yeah, you're qualified to be an elder if your pastor says you are.